Hi everyone, Lori Marie Jenkins and
Rob Jenkins.
We are moving to Costa Rica. So thank you so much for joining us today. We are going to go into some of the things that have come up in the last week or so that we've been working on. Mostly he's been working on. What I've been working on is looking around the house and purging things. We have a sign out front that Rob drove the stakes into the ground and it says free stuff. And we put stuff out there practically every day, and just going through things and finding out what's really important to take and maybe what's not so important to take. I'm sure that the list of important to take will grow smaller as we get closer, but for now, just getting rid of the things that we don't use, don't need, certainly won't need in a warm environment. So it's hard because we're both artists, so it's a little hard with our supplies, but I haven't tackled that yet. Have you?
Yeah. As Laurie said, we're both artists, and so we have studios in our house. I am a woodworker, custom furniture maker, sculptor, and so between Laurie Marie and I, we have a lot of materials that we use in our studios and a lot of materials we might use. And then we've also collected a lot of artwork and cool things from friends, travels, things like that. So there's so much stuff that is not going to go with us to Costa Rica. And so what we're doing is just getting rid of things we know we're not going to want. And so I've pulled junk from the yard, I've pulled stuff from the studio, a lot of materials that I know I'm not going to need, and we put it out by the street for free. And every single thing we've put out there has been taken by neighbors, which is great. So it's just like donating things that we don't need. So there's going to be a lot more of this when then we'll get into bigger things, dishes, furniture, clothing. So a lot of those decisions about what we're going to take to Costa Rica when we finally go will depend on where we are. And so that's one of the things that we want to talk about today is next steps in finding a place.
Go.
All right. So one of the things that I have done
I'm just a lovely assistant. You have to understand.
Very lovely assistant. So I'm heading back to Costa Rica in March. And I've got 2 weeks there. And a good friend of mine, Bruce, already lives in the town of Puerto Jimenez. And so I'm going to be meeting up with him, and he and I are doing a 2-week road trip to visit 3 specific areas that I think might be really good locations for Lori Marie and I to move to. And we didn't really spend much time in these places, but knowing the geography and general closeness to larger towns and things like that helped us narrow this down. So the 3 main areas that we're going to, we're going to be leaving Puerto Jimenez, which is in the very southwest of the country on the Osa Peninsula. And then we're going to drive over to San Vito area. And so San Vito is near the Pan American Highway, rather close to the Panama border on the south. And so there's a number of expat communities in all of these areas we're going. And we don't think we want to live in a quote-unquote expat community. We don't want to just go someplace where we're speaking English and eating American or Western food or anything like that. So it'll be interesting to see what's there and what kind of an area I'm finding. And one benefit of this trip is we're not buying a house right now. We're just trying to find a place that we like, that we can settle into, and then we can explore more. So we might really love this place, but we're going to start in San Vito, Bruce and I, and then we're heading up the Pan American Highway, and we're going to be very close to Cerro Cheripe volcano or mountain. And so there's an area, Perez de Ladon, and there's a town of Rivas. There's a very large expat community in the town of Canaan. And so a lot of communities around there seem like they have really ideal weather. The kind of weather where we might not need heat or AC year-round. And so, I want to see what the amenities are like. What are the house prices like? What are the people like in the markets and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I want to talk with realtors, I want to talk with real people, and just explore. And then the third area we're looking at is on the coast. And that's going to be around Uvita and Ojo Chal. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with any of these areas. If you are, you're welcome to chime in the comment section. But those are 3 areas that are worth taking a look at. Probably a little bit less touristy, but still accessible to major highways, public transportation, things like that. One of the great things about Costa Rica is they have little regional airports all over the place. And so being close enough to a regional airport, you're probably talking less than an hour flight up to San Jose, where there's the one of 2 international airports. So I have my plane tickets down for March. I'm going to be flying, we live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and there are no direct flights from San Francisco area to Costa Rica. And so what I'm doing this time, and what Laura Marie and I did in our last trip, was went through LAX, Los Angeles International. So I fly to LAX, and from LA there's lots of direct flights down to San Jose. And from San Jose, I'm going to fly Sansa Airlines down to Puerto Jimenez. And that's a daily flight they have multiple times a day. And it's, I don't know, maybe $150 one way. Not too bad, and then it's less than an hour flight. And so I'll rent a car, and one thing we got in Costa Rica before was a 4x4, and it's very important with the quality of some of the roads. So I'm going to make sure I get a 4x4 again, and driving around the rainy season is definitely going to be more of a challenge than in the drier season, but some parts of Costa Rica don't even have a dry season.
Right.
So.
Their dry season is the rainy season.
Right.
So, all right, I think that's good for today.
Yeah?
Yeah. I think that we've given them some information to think about.
Okay.
We'll be back next week. Rob's got some paperwork that he's going to walk through with you as far as residency and things like that. And so that's it for now.
Yeah. And if anybody watching this has any questions or comments or ideas about any of the places I've talked about, we'd love to hear from you guys. So everybody's welcome to join in the journey.
Absolutely. So until next time, adios.
Ciao.